Hey guys, so today I'm coming to you with our toddler problem of the week. So, our toddler has a bedroom right next door to ours. He's 22 months old. Kind of giving you the background first. He's never been a great sleeper. The first time he fell or slept the whole night was at 11 months old. And he'll take naps. He was fine with that. He'll go to bed fine, but he always woke up in the middle of the night most of the time. It comes in spurts. I know, just like anything else, growing, eating, things like that. When a cold comes, it messes him up too. But what we've been dealing with lately is he was sleeping fine through most of the nights. But then he got allergies or some kind of cold for a couple of days. So pretty much every time he cried, I went in and, made sure he was okay, rocked him for a few minutes, put him back down, which he would be fine with. After he got over his cold, however, he knew that we would come in if he cried. So I'm not good about thinking on my feet in the middle of the night. I'm not a morning person. I'm groggy. So here's a couple of things that we did that didn't work for us and didn't work with our lifestyle. And then I'll go into what we have been doing and been more consistent about. I know everyone has a different opinion as to how they deal with their kids and sleeping. And hey, whatever works for you, sleep is a necessity. So I am not against anything and not necessarily for anything. I just know this is what's been working for us and what we've been trying. So, the first night I brought him to bed with me, which it had been like the second or third time I had gone and checked on him when he had cried and rocked him for a minute, put him back down, and about 15-20 minutes later he was up again. My husband also went in. He just tells him to put his head down and go back to sleep. And a lot of times he will just put his head down, but not necessarily go back to sleep. So after about the third or fourth time, I went in and I am totally against this, bringing him back to bed with me, because I don't sleep when there's anything else in my bed or touching me or kicking me or anything like that. So for me, I didn't ever want my kids to sleep with me unless they were sick or I was comforting them in their time of need, which this was just a regular night that I knew, and I didn't think he necessarily needed to be in my bed. But anyways, that's me thinking in the middle of the night. It worked that night, and I just dealt with it. So the next night, my plan was not to bring him to bed, but didn't have an actual plan as to what I was going to do because I was hoping it was just a one night thing. I was wrong. So the next night, same thing. About in the middle of the night, he started waking up every 15 minutes. I think not necessarily woke up. He'd been awake the whole time. He wasn't tired. He'd start calling for us and kind of crying at us. So I went in, rocked him, put him back down. 15 minutes later, start crying. I went in, I decided in the middle of the night I was going to sleep on the floor. Okay, I don't know if you know it, but I'm also 7 months pregnant. Not the smartest idea I've ever had for comfort wise, but I wanted to sleep or get him to sleep, all the above. So I decided I was going to sleep on the floor next to his crib and try to get him to fall back asleep in his crib. Needless to say, when I went to go lay on the floor with my blanket and pillow, he was over the crib, hanging out of it, crying at me. So after about 5 minutes of that, I said, "Do you want to sleep on the floor with me?" And he said yes. So I brought him on the floor with me, and about an hour later he fell asleep. For that hour he was being really good. He was just kind of tossing and turning. But he wasn't obviously falling asleep. So after an hour he fell asleep. I was kind of dozing in and out and had finally fallen asleep too. My husband, when he got up for work really early in the morning, he put him back in bed and told me to go back to bed. So the next day I decided that was not the way that I wanted to do it either, obviously. So that day I kind of reached out to some people, asked people their opinions as to what they would do. and got some feedback and kind of tried to figure out what would work best for us and me. So when my husband got home from work that night, I said, okay, we have to be on the same page as to what we're doing. We decided that one of the methods that I saw is that you go in when they wake up, because I also don't want him to think that I can't hear him or that he's alone. So I do want to answer when he calls, especially if he's already fallen asleep. And again, this is just my opinion or how I feel about it. So we decided that, the first time he cried or called out to us, we would go in. Our kind of idea as to what we were going to say to him was, you're okay. It's still nunites time, and he kind of knows that nunites is still when it's dark versus he can get up when it's light out because he has a window in his room and stuff like that. So I say, you're safe in here. Oh, I can hear him already. He's getting up. See that? Hear that? That's what he does. That's what he does. All right, I'll finish this in just a minute. All right, we're back. He just woke up from his nap. You say hi? Say hi. Kind of weird. We're looking at ourselves, huh? Anyways, so I forget where I left off, but we decided that we would tell him that he's safe in his room, that God was watching over him. He had a couple books in his bed that he could read if he wasn't ready to go back to sleep necessarily, because sometimes reading makes me tired. And then I would be back in the morning, or we would be back in the morning, and then we would shut the door. All right, I got him settled with a snack or lunch, but I just want to finish up. So, I forget where I was, but we go in, we say that he is safe and sound, we love him, we ask him if anything's wrong, even though he's 22 months old, but he doesn't talk a lot right now. So, he talks a lot, but only he knows what he's saying. But so we kind of go in, I show him where his books are. He's usually still crying at me and wanting me to pick him up and take him out. But I don't take him out of his crib. He does have like a mobile that makes music. Sometimes I'll put that on if the batteries are working. And I tell him he's safe in his crib, in his room, and that God's with him and he can read a book. And then I say I'll be back in the morning when the sun comes up, and I give him a kiss and say I love him, and then I leave. And I shut the door, and he's usually still crying, and then I shut my door and turn the fan on, and I can still hear him crying usually, which breaks my heart, but I know that he is safe and sound, and that this in the long run will pay off. I did this once when he was like 10 months old for a couple days. Here and there, you go through different stages, and this is just how we've been able to deal with it, and kind of what's worked for us. But he's been crying less and less amount of time after I go in there. It was like the first night before I even told him what was going on and didn't know how to explain it to him. It was like, I think it was about an hour, and then I finally went in, and that was the night I brought him into my room. And now it's only like 15 minutes maybe. So that's pretty good. That's a big difference. And he does understand. That's the thing. And what is the best part in the morning is you'd think they'd hold a grudge. They really don't. They just, he still loves me in the morning. He's still happy. I still spend time with him during the day, reading books and everything like that. So I feel like a bad mom sometimes, but I know that he is safe, and it is best for him and me and his dad to get as much sleep as we can get. And again, this is just what works for us. And I don't know, let me know what works for you guys in the comments below. So subscribe to my channel, and I will start doing some more toddler problems, or as they get older, and they're going to be baby problems soon too. And kind of we can discuss what's going on in your life and what's going on in mine. So thanks guys for listening, and let me know what you think. All right, thanks. Bye.